Hi, everyone. My name is Jared, and welcome to the 2019 Junior Staff Info Session. We're also glad that you're here. Like I said, we're going to go through and do some introductions. My name is Jared Fucci, and I am fortunate enough to serve with this awesome team as the Vice Chair of Operations. And I'm looking forward to sharing a little bit about what our junior staff structure is like this year with this, again, incredible team of individuals from the operations team and leadership team for the 2019 WLC. I'm going to turn it over to Angie, our chairperson for this year, who's going to introduce herself, and she's going to moderate our call tonight.
Hi, everybody. If you haven't had a chance to hear from me, my name is Angie Magazzino. As Jared mentioned, I'm the WLC chair tonight, and I'll be connecting with you all via the chat function in YouTube. So to kick things off, tell us your name and where you're watching from, and please, anytime you think of questions or comments, we'd love to hear them, and I will share them with this team as they speak to you tonight. Megan, I think you're next.
Yeah, sure. So, hey, y'all, my name is Megan Smith. I have the honor and pleasure. I'm so excited to be serving as the Director of Junior Staff this year. And I'll hand it over to Shilpa to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shilpa. I'm this year's Operations Director. I'm super excited to work alongside the junior staff. I will pass it off to Drew.
Hi, I'm Drew Granucci. I'm the Vice Chair of Ambassador Staff at WLC, and we'll talk more about this soon, but I'm excited to work with the junior staff this year too.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And like we all said, the common theme is we're just super pumped to share a little bit with you tonight and to hear from you some of the questions that you might have about some of the changes to the junior staff structure. So I want to take a couple minutes here to just address what are those changes. You may be saying, I noticed there are some roles that aren't here, that were here in the past. Maybe you've not seen the structure before and want to know, why are we spending so much time talking about these changes? But they're all great, and we're super excited about them. And there's a reason why everyone's on this call tonight. There's a reason why we've got representation from the ambassador staff side, from the operations side. And if you rewind to last year and many years before, there was a group of junior staff that served in ASA roles. So what you used to have your alumni section assistants that worked on the ambassador staff side, hand in hand with our section leaders. And then you had team alumni who served on the operations team, who were without a doubt some of the backbone of making sure that WLC operated, ran smoothly, and were integrated in a lot of different aspects of the seminar. But when we were really thinking intentionally, and really intentionality has been the theme, intentionality and transparency really have been the theme throughout this process. We really thought long and hard about what makes the most sense, what's the best for staff growth, for a meaningful volunteer experience. And this conversation, really even started last year around this concept and many years before. And after feedback from amazing TA directors like Drew many years ago, and then you have Megan and the amazing team that she's worked on. But when we think about the intentionality of that, we said one team definitely makes sense. One team of people who bridge the gap between both the ambassador staff side and the operations side, which is where we're at with our junior staff. And so that looks like, potentially, right, a little bit bigger of a team, with a lot more opportunity for growth in different areas and impact in different areas, working directly with our ambassadors. But I don't want to take away too much of what the role is like. I'm going to send it over to Megan, who's going to talk to us a little bit about what is this junior staff role and what does this role really do?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with some of kind of the, basic, less fun requirements. We are looking for people who are HOBY alums between the ages of 18 and 20. Generally, those are people who their alum year was 2017 would probably be the most recent. If you are 17 and you're going to be 17 still in July, you're unfortunately not able to apply. But as long as you'll be 18 by July 18th, you're good to go on the age requirement. A few things about just generally what we want you to get out of the junior staff experience. Something that I have really appreciated about the moves with junior staff and the moves with team alumni over the past few years is that we've really been trying to shape team alumni into more of a holistic experience for the people who are serving on TA. This year, of course, that'll be junior staff where we'll all be combined on one big team together. But we still want this to be an experience where you are growing and you're setting goals and achieving those goals during WLC. You only get to do WLC as an ambassador once, but that doesn't mean that you can't grow in meaningful ways through whatever role you're serving in. I know personally, I grow a lot each year and am challenged each year. So we want to be able to set those expectations and set those goals in the beginning. Last year, we sat down the first day of WLC, everyone set goals and set kind of some parameters for themselves and expectations. And we really encouraged TA last year to kind of follow through with those and achieve things that they were looking forward to achieving during the week. Aside from that, you'll do a lot of hard work at WLC. You will kind of be, I guess, what makes the WLC run. TA in the past has been really, really essential, and this year, junior staff will be even more essential, not only serving in that operations side role, but also serving with ambassador staff. So kind of what the day-to-day for TA or now junior staff looks like. This year on the operations side, junior staff will be doing the things that team alumni has always done. You'll be doing things like t-shirt drops. So if you've not served on staff before at the WLC, the t-shirts that appear outside your door when you're an ambassador didn't just magically appear, TA put them there. And so we'll still be doing things like that. It sounds no fun, but we have music playing in the background, sorting t-shirts. It's a lot of fun. Things like that. The snake, as we call it. So if you remember, there were team alumni along the route whenever we would move ambassadors from one place to another. And you'll probably remember seeing some of those TAs standing on the corner. We'll still be doing that. Just a smiling face for ambassadors to see when they're not in programming. You are the closest in age to our ambassadors, so it's imperative that you can connect with them in a meaningful way whenever you can. We'll still be doing those operations side things, all the things you've always seen and heard that team alumni do. This year is unique because we will also be doing ambassador staff stuff, which is really, really exciting. One of the things about TA in the past few years that we've been really working toward is letting you have more opportunities to interact with ambassadors, and that's really going to come full circle this year with directly working with ambassador staff. Drew will kind of elaborate on this in a few minutes, but essentially the way it will work is beyond the stuff that I already mentioned that you'll be doing with the operations team. Junior staff will be split into some groups and will be assigned to section leaders. So you will actually be representing a section and a color, and we'll kind of get to do all those things that ASAs have done in the past as well. So it's going to be a really, really cool experience. It'll be much more holistic than Team Alumni has been in the past. You'll grow through some hard work with operations, get a taste of that side, and you'll get a taste of the ambassador staff world. And this is really cool too, because as you're moving forward in your WLC experience, thinking about roles you might want to apply for in the future, whether you might want to facilitate, whether you might want to serve on the operations team, serving on junior staff now will give you a really good taste of pretty much every area at the WLC. And I think that's all I had. So I'll let Drew touch a little more on what working with ambassador staff will look like.
Great, thanks, Megan. I am super excited for this year because it is a new model and it is something that I think will be exciting to try and work with one cohesive junior staff team. So there won't be different roles. Everyone will be doing similar things on a similar level, and most importantly, working together. And I'm excited to see that take shape at WLC this year. So for those of you who have been to WLC before, you are probably familiar with what we referred to as the alumni section assistant role, which was a very public role. It was one junior staff member who was assigned to each section, and they were involved in group time. They were great support for the facilitators. They were always interacting with ambassadors on stage, doing cheers and keeping the energy high at WLC. And that is it is a meaningful role as well, because it is a very positive example and model for our ambassadors of amazing young leaders who have made strong impacts in their community and continue to stay involved in HOBY. So we don't want to lose any of that. We want to continue with that same interaction and that same interaction with ambassadors and having junior staff as a meaningful part of this ambassador experience. So we're going to continue with it, but it will be in a different model. So we will have everyone participating pretty co-equally throughout the week in the ambassador experience. So that will include a lot of the same things that I spoke about earlier in the ASA role. The difference will be that it'll be spread out among a junior staff of about 18 people. And it won't be a full-time with the ambassadors. So there will be some trade-offs. There will be some times where there will be ops-specific tasks that are happening that they need close to all 18 people working on. And then there will be times when it's a little bit lighter in the schedule and there will be more flexibility, and we'll be able to have more of the junior staff involved in the ambassador experience, in the program, doing things like that. And we are still working out exactly what that looks like in terms of scheduling and things like that. But we do hope that the junior staff is aligned with sections as they have been in the past, that you'll have more of an opportunity to work with our facilitation staff and our section leaders and be involved in the program as well. And of course, we can't forget being on stage for cheers. That will happen too. So I'm really excited to be a part of this and to work with junior staff this year and really see how this goes and make sure that our ambassadors have that same positive experience that they've had with the ASAs in the past, now with a more cohesive junior staff team. And I am going to send it back now to
me.
Jared, Megan. Okay, great.
Somewhat. Yeah, so we've been getting some questions in the chat box and in the comments, and we're going to address some of those now. Some of you also posted some questions on Facebook today. We will start with a question from Christian. Hi, Christian. Christian's question is, can I volunteer if I have not already volunteered at the local level? Yeah, absolutely. We still welcome your application. We recognize with junior staff that you're just kind of getting started in the volunteering with HOBY sphere. And yeah, absolutely, we welcome your application, but hope that you'll volunteer with a local seminar as well. Another question we had gotten, if I'm 17 but a 2017 alumni, can I still volunteer even though I'm not 18? Unfortunately, the answer to that question is no. You must be 18 by July 18th. So easy to remember, 18, July 18th. You meet that, you're good to go. A third question about logistics is, if you are 18 but a 2018 alum, can you apply? And the answer to that question is also yes. As we are letting people come to WLC now who are a year out of their local seminar, that's totally fine. You can be 18. Again, cardinal rule, 18, July 18th, you're good to go. And I'll pass it to Shilpa to answer a question from Zach.
Great, thanks, Meg. So Zach asked a really great question. He said, as a hopeful first-time WLC J staff, how do you feel the experience is different or elevated than J staff at a local seminar? I think for starters, WLC is a huge seminar. We have over 400 ambassadors every year, and that makes the responsibility of a junior staff member that much more elevated. But there's also a lot more interaction with each of the different teams of the WLC. So like Drew mentioned before, you might be cheering on stage, you might be interacting with ambassadors and section leaders through various programming elements, but you also are going to be working behind the scenes to make the program successful and run as smoothly as possible. And so working on an operations team along with the ambassador staff team really makes that experience a little bit more elevated than a local junior staff member.
Cool. And I'll answer another question from Zach. Zach's question is, how many applicants do you usually get for junior staff compared to the number WLC takes on? This question has two parts, so I'll take that one first. The answer to that question is it just really varies year to year. Some years have more applicants than others. Last year, I think we had, I don't remember, pretty high number. It is really competitive to be on junior staff at WLC. It is probably the position that receives the most applications, just because everyone is so excited coming right off of their, I guess, their WLC experience and their HOBY experience themselves, that it's a really popular position to seek out. The other half, compared to the number WLC takes on. So this year it'll be different because we'll be having 18 junior staff instead of fewer team alumni like we usually have versus ASAs. So this year it'll be kind of different. So it really just fluctuates year to year. The second half of Zach's question, are first-time applicants looked at differently than WLC veterans? Absolutely not. And this is something I really appreciate about the intentionality of the application process for WLC. Just because you've been to WLC before or have been on team alumni in the past does not mean you're guaranteed a spot the next year. We look at everyone independently and really try to build a team. It's not about individual. We are building a team. So we want to build people that are cohesive together. So no advantage in having been before.
Okay, we have a question that was submitted before our broadcast here tonight. So the question is, how much ambassador interaction will I have? And the answer to that is that we intend to have all of our 18 junior staff members have ambassador interaction throughout the week. It will not be every day, all day. As Megan has spoken about, there is a lot that happens behind the scenes, but most likely it will happen in some sort of shift scenario where you're working with ambassador staff for a period of the day, or maybe every other day, or something along those lines. So everyone on junior staff will have ambassador interaction, but in the time we will kind of manage to be somewhat equal between our junior staff members, but it's not a full-time position in front of the ambassadors. So it'll vary and will probably amount to a few hours at least every day on average.
Yeah, and to follow up a little bit on what Drew said, something that in the past 2 years when I've worked with team alumni, I've really always encouraged them when they do have the opportunity to interact with ambassadors. Remember, you standing at a crosswalk directing people across, a smile or a kind word can really make someone's day. And the ambassadors do remember junior staff members and the impact they had on them. I still remember people that were on team alumni when I was an ambassador way back in 2010. So making the most of it is definitely encouraged. We do have another question. This is a pre-submitted question. If I applied last year and or the year before and wasn't selected, should I bother applying this year? Absolutely, 1000%. Please apply again. Things change a lot year to year. Like I said, there are so many factors that go into selecting junior staff. We are trying to build a team, so we look for a variety of ages. We look for a variety of state seminar locations. We are really trying to build a diverse team. So please apply again. The dynamic changes year to year. So just because you weren't selected in a year before means nothing.
Cool. And so thanks for all the awesome questions that are rolling in. A couple things that we just want to add before we recap some of the important info and deadlines that we didn't touch on is kind of what is the structure of how the WLC manages awesome staff team, right? So there's a few different people on the call here tonight. So as Megan introduced herself, she is the director of junior staff. So she is overseeing all of those. And so she has a teammate who will be a junior staff manager that will be announced soon. And then you've got, over on the ambassador staff side of the house, you've got Drew, who is serving as our vice chair of ambassador staff, and he has a right hand with Sasa, who will help with those interactions, right, and our section leaders and really kind of the ops team as a whole. And that's what's really cool about the WLC junior staff. If you haven't been before, and we've changed the structure quite a bit over the past few years, again, to be more intentional about how we can produce the most amazing first ambassador experience and also a really amazing staff experience. So you can expect to see a few leaders out there. And it looks like Shilpa has another question that was submitted. So Shilpa, why don't you go to that one?
Thanks, Jared. I'll pass this one off to Meg in a second. But a question that I've gotten a couple of times is, what qualities make a junior staff applicant stand out? I think that overall, thinking back to my own junior staff application, something that really stands out is your local seminar experience. So how many volunteer events you've been to, if participating at your local seminar as a junior staff member or as some sort of role is something you've done in the past. Megan touched a little bit on the interview as well, so I will pass that off to her.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, something that I really want to highlight with applying for junior staff, volunteering at WLC obviously looks great on your resume. However, if that's your only motivation in applying, maybe don't. We are really looking for people who we can tell are committed to HOBY and can tell are committed to HOBY's mission, and live that each and every day. As far as what would make a junior staff applicant stand out, like I said, we want to see that some of you are alumni from the year that Live HOBY was the theme. We want to see that you're living HOBY. We want to see that you are, truly implementing the things that HOBY stands for. Beyond that, there will be interviews and reference checks. So on the application, it asks for some references, I think a HOBY reference and another reference. We will check with those people and ask them what their experience has been in working with you. Junior staff is so critically a team that has to work together in all regards. And so we're really looking for someone that isn't necessarily, maybe not the loudest voice or the most outgoing in the room, but someone that is going to be a dedicated team member and has exhibited that through the things they've done. There will also be an interview component this year, which is something we haven't 100% done in the past, and that'll be something as well. So again, really looking for an emphasis on teamwork, a commitment to HOBY, looking for people who are eager to listen and eager to learn and eager to not only spend time on stage cheering, which is fun, but really looking to come and do work and give back to the organization that, if you're anything like me, changed your life. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, Jared, I'll pass it to you.
Cool. Thanks, Megan, and thanks everyone for your input. So what I think is really powerful, right, is relating this back to your own experience. And what I'd love for us to do is we have 3 amazing former TA here, spanning many vast years of volunteer experience. Yeah, and ASAs. So we've got the whole span of junior staff. So you know what? Let's hit them with like an oldie but a goodie. Let's start with you, Drew. What's your favorite memory when you were on junior staff all of those years?
So many years ago. It's hard to remember back that far, Jared. So I loved TA. It was very different back then. We were in DC. We were at my alma mater, George Washington University, and it was an amazing place to be on junior staff. What I remember most, because it was so long ago, was the amazing friends that I made and the connections that I still have to this day from my time on junior staff. We have some great memories together. Back then, we had to do all of the laundry for WLC, so there were many late nights up working the washing machines in the dorms at GW. We had to move a lot of water around the city. One year we were short on storage, so it was stored in my dorm room. And so we had to climb over water to get to bed each night. That was interesting. But we also got really cool flip phones at WLC as TA because people didn't like have cell phone plans back then, and like minutes were a concern, and like it was, you probably wouldn't understand anyone watching, but it was a fun time. And I loved being on junior staff, so much so that I became the director of TA for 3 years after that. But it's a great experience, and even though I sound really old, I really hope that all of you apply out there. And I'll send it to Shilpa for her favorite experience.
Thanks, Drew. Well, I was on junior staff for 5 years, so it is really hard to choose. But my second year, or my first year on TA, we spent a lot of time delivering HOBY hugs. And those are little index cards or postcards that you would send to your friends, and TAs would go around and deliver them and slide them under doors and leave candy. And we met a lot of people and had a lot of fun doing that. My first year on junior staff, we actually fundraised scholarship money for a student to attend the WLC by selling HOBY hugs. And so that year we actually got to meet him. So that was very special, and it was really impactful just to see that it felt like we were behind the scenes all the time, and we didn't have a ton of ambassador interaction, a lot of pizza deliveries and t-shirt deliveries, but at the end of the day, we really did make an impact, and it was something that has stayed with me for all of my years at WLC. Meg, pass it on to you.
Sure. Okay. So a cool fact to point out, Drew mentioned that he was director of TA back in the day. Drew was actually TA director when I was on TA and when Shilpa was on TA, so that's really cool. I love TA so much that I decided when I was a TA that I really wanted to work with TA someday, so here I am. It's wonderful. TA director is literally the best job at WLC, so something to keep in mind for the future. My favorite TA memory is pretty non-specific. I think I've just really appreciated the friendships that I made when I was on TA. You just spend so many nights staying up late together, doing really hard work, that building relationships with other people on your team is kind of inevitable. Shilpa and I actually went to WLC the same year, but didn't really meet too much when we were at WLC. We had mutual friends, but we were on TA together, and from TA we've been literal best friends ever since. I'm going to visit her in Boston this weekend, so things work out. But yeah, so who knows, maybe you'll get a best friend out of being on junior staff, and it's pretty cool. Are there any more questions? No? We're good? Nothing else? Okay. With that, we will close out. Just a quick recap of some important info. You can find the application. If you go to the HOBY website, click on volunteer. Click on volunteer for the WLC. You'll see it. If you haven't joined the 2019 WLC Volunteer Interest Group, be sure to look that up and do that. It's a good place with a lot of info. We want you to smash that apply button no later than February 1st. That's the deadline for junior staff applications. Then we will have our interview process after that, and junior staff members will be notified by March 1st. And with that, thanks everyone for tuning in. We're so glad that you joined us tonight. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything, and everybody have a good night and have a good weekend. Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.